Hey everybody, Scott here. Gonna be drinking some tea today, surprise, surprise. Excuse me. Today we're gonna be drinking a tea that we produced in 2011, and the tea was pressed from a 2008 spring teas, from two areas of Lincang. I believe one was Mengku and the other Bandung area teas. So two spring teas from 2008. It's now early 2019, so that makes the tea itself 11 years old. So this would be one of the oldest Yunnan sourcing productions, although it was produced in 2011. You can see the wrapper here. The rabbits running around here. This year the rabbit. 400 gram cake, Chen Yun Yuan Cha, which basically means aged rime round cake or something like that. It's a very Chinese name that we came up with. So, but yeah, this is and this tea has really been aging nicely. Been getting some, really positive feedback from some people. Although I still consider it to be kind of like a under the radar kind of tea, in the sense that it really hasn't become popular, as it were. So the other thing about this tea that's really amazing is the price. Given that it's 11 years old now, it's going just for $56 at this time. We'll probably raise the price a little bit in the spring, but it should still be quite affordable, especially for a 400 gram cake with, So anyways, we're going to drink it and talk a little bit about the flavor profile. This tea kettle is quite heavy, and the pour is, you got to do it just right. It's not the easiest pour, but I do like this kettle overall. It's glass. There's not plastic going on. There's a little bit of plastic here, but the water doesn't boil in the plastic, which is nice. But yeah, anyways, we're gonna go get to it. I'm doing the 60 milliliter gaiwan, 4 grams of tea. Just going straight into the cups here. I do this to, just to be efficient. I'm gonna drink a bunch of different teas today, so I don't want to overdo it by using like too large of a gaiwan. Here we go. Wash there. Let's go. Oh, nice perfume. Kind of a little bit of a, I don't know, like a barnyardy, like horse. I don't know. I actually like the smell of like horses. So not their poop, but the horses themselves. There's actually a really famous, well, not really famous, but there's a Xiaoguan Tuo Cha that is called Ma Bei Tuo, which means horse's back. Because the teas they used to make these kind of like saddle type things that they'd put over the horses for the horse caravan, and they'd put the pu'er in there, so the sweat from the horse's back would get into the pu'er a bit and give it its own special flavor that I guess people were nostalgic for. I don't know whether it's real nostalgia or just I'm not sure how far back into, oops, oh, there you go, talking a lot. It's gonna be a strong first sip. How far back in time, you'd have to go to taste that. I would think that the horse sweat that got into the tuo chas as they were traveling on the tea horse road 80 years ago, probably that aroma probably wouldn't continue on into the tea for, decades and decades, but, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if somebody finds a salty old tuo in a Chinese apothecary in some city somewhere in the world, that might be why, or not. Anyways, I gotta focus here on brewing, otherwise I'm gonna mess it up. Back to Chen Yun Yuan Cha, 11 years. Tea soup Wish you could see it. I'll describe it to you. It's like a kind of a copper brass color, kind of gold, a little bit of orange creeping in. So it doesn't come across as a highly aged tea. This is entirely a Kunming aged tea. Actually, this one that we're drinking is not. It's probably Kunming aged. Well, actually, the Mao Cha was aged in Dali. Dali in Yunnan from 2008 until 2011 when it was pressed by me, and then aged in Kunming for 3 or 4 years, and then sent to the US where it was aged in Oregon for a couple of years, and then Texas for about 2.5 years. So, you know, again, all of these places relatively dry, so even Dali is quite dry. So this would be definitely a dry stored tea. It's interesting about really dry stored teas, Sheng Pu'ers, is the tea soup changes really, really slow. The color of the tea soup changes really slow. But the flavor, however, that really kind of is more of a telltale sign of its age. So I don't need to use my thermometer. I'm just gonna try not to burn myself here. Nice and floral. A little bite, a little astringent bite. Good viscosity, actually, really. Very nice. Very full-bodied. Very nice. Very pleasant. Thick. Sweet aftertaste. A little bit of bitterness and astringency. Not too much. I'm using quite a bit here. This is 4 grams in a very small gaiwan. Go ahead and pop this one here. The bitterness is now creeping back on my tongue. It's coming back. A little dark chocolatey bitterness there. Ah, there we go. Oh, nice aroma there. Almost like an incense-like aroma, like a floral incense type aroma. Very nice. The leaves are still quite green, actually. So this kind of very much looks like not an aged tea. Tastes like a semi-aged tea. I think that's fair to say. It's very interesting, being a blend of Lincang tea, and it's not a real large leaf. There's some broken leaf in here. It's fairly tippy. But it kind of actually reminds me of kind of a higher grade xiaoguan tea. Nice. Opened up more. Oily, bitter. And the astringency is less than actually the first steep, which is nice because I prefer to have bitterness than to astringency. Because the bitterness this kind of bitterness is one that doesn't hang out. It comes and goes. It comes and then it comes back, you know. White guy, as they say, you know. The returning feeling. So you get that kind of like earthy, kind of like musky malt, and I keep wanting to talk about horses. I don't know why, but it's got a horsey character to it. Very much like xiaoguan tea. This is really interesting. Nice, briny almost salty. I'm not saying it's from the horse sweat, but there's definitely kind of like a salty umami character coming out now in this third steep. Where we washed one steep, so. Let's go, 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 go. Get that water in there. Just shot a video a few days ago, solo video, and did steeping like this, and I got the video down to like 18 minutes, which rarely have I ever made a video that's been less than 20 minutes. So that's good. burn myself. This is so strong tea. There's no doubt about it. It plays nice in the mouth, but the feeling of it, and in the feeling of it in the mouth, the returning feeling is quite strong. There's a real kind of mouth-watering character to the tea, which is really nice. In Chinese, they call it shenjing. Let's go ahead and do this next steep here. Steep number 5. We can drink this. Lucy's sleeping down here. Want to come in here and start drinking tea, she'll come in and follow me in here, and she'll drink tea. And then if I go and wander back out again before I get ready to drink tea, she'll kind of stand up and look at me and wonder where I am. But when I'm here, we pretty much either Xiao and I, or just myself, will drink tea every day at around the same time. And the cha tea on this is quite strong. It's really interesting because it's a much nicer tea than it was. I actually considered calling this tea bawang, which means like something like despotic, violent king or something like that, because it's a very popular name for Shengpu in China, bawang, because it's, just means, like really the king of a badass king or something like that. And this is still very much a badass tea. Again, I don't believe it's like, gushu or anything like that. It's definitely, plantation tea, but it's good plantation tea, and it's high altitude plantation tea. And it's very enjoyable. Strong tea as well. But if you look at the leaf, the leaves aren't, they don't, I'll pull out a pretty typical leaf here. Interesting thing too is it's not a stemmy tea at all. I'm kind of messing this steep up here because I've got this lid open. But a lot of the gushu picks, they pick with the stem. I feel like this tea has been graded maybe. But I mean, here's a typical, I can get this on my finger here. A fairly typical leaf there. This is definitely plantation tea. But, again, most of the tea grown in Yunnan is plantation tea. Pretty much all the tea that Monghai Tea Factory and Xiaoguan and these tea factories, Nanjing, and pretty much all the teas that they press are plantation teas. So, plantation teas have a lot of strength and they can be really good, but they tend to lack a little bit. It's kind of hard to compare something in terms of description, in terms of gushu and plantation tea. But I think, when I say gushu, I don't mean like 500-year-old or 1,000-year-old or whatever. The online community's been through that, and so I think everybody kind of knows that those teas are 500, 1,000 years. I still get asked all the time, and I try not to pick a fight with anybody. I just say, no, we don't have that. Those trees are protected, and they really are. And even if they weren't, I wouldn't offer tea from such old tea trees, simply because I think that they deserve to be protected and they deserve to be left alone. And they're not a commercial product, and there's never enough of that tea to be a commercial product. Really nice. The bitterness faded a little bit, and now it's just really sweet, viscous. There's like a spiciness to it. It's very lively. It's a very lively tea. And again, I think that's, people saying, discriminating against, teas that were grown on plantations, and yeah, of course. I mean, I'm sure if this tea from or the plantations where this tea came from, if we wait 200 years and the the bushes grow or they become, you know, wild or whatever, I'm sure the tea would be better, absolutely. But, you know, so just steep number 7. Still real good tea soup, not much of a difference. It's gotten a little bit more yellow, a little bit less orange in color, so it's definitely losing steam a little bit. But good 7 steeps in. I think 8. We're gonna call it quits after 8, but you know, depends how you brew this. I broke it apart in the gaiwan before. Excuse me, my eyes are itchy. Before doing it, just because I had like a big chunk, I had like a 6-gram chunk, and I was like, oh, that's too much. So I kind of, you know, to separate it out, I did that carefully, not to break the leaf too much, and it really opened up quickly. This probably, if I had just gotten a 4-gram chunk in there, this probably would have been more gradual to open up, and we would see more steeps out of it. But the earlier steeps would have been kind of more boring, as it were. So, you know, that's one thing when people talk about, oh, I got however many steeps out of it. And it's, well, how did you brew it, and how much did you use, and how tightly compacted was it when you started, and how long did you steep it for? You know, those are all, and does your device, your brewing device, allow the tea to completely open? So those are all kind of things, you know, people talk about, you know, I got however many steeps out of it, and it's like, well, how did you steep it? You know, so that's always important, you know, not to criticize anybody at all, but just to point out that the number of steeps is a highly relative term, without knowing the full details. You know, it's kind of hard to know whether, 8 steeps is a lot, or 10 steeps is a lot, or I'm sure, you know, if you brewed this with cooler water and whatever, you could get 12 steeps out of it, or 14 steeps, but they'd be a lot of really boring steeps. Wow, very nice, very sweet now. This is very like, you know, it packed its punch, and now it's very graceful and nice. And it hasn't collapsed into astringency. Very nice. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna let this sit, but I think we're gonna conclude the video now. Chen Yun Yuan Cha. Check it out. We've got a fair amount of it. I think we pressed a pretty decent amount. It should be available for quite a while longer. Definitely check it out. This is a good, nice aged tea. Not a heavily aged tea, semi-aged tea, but very, very, very enjoyable, and definitely one that you could pick up to put away in the future, and kind of get like a 10, 11-year head start. So anyways, check it out. If you liked the Impression series, I think you'd also like this as well. This is a good, nice blend, strong, and incredible value as well. So yeah, check it out. 2011 Yunnan sourcing Chen Yun Yuan Cha. I'll link it down below. Thanks for watching. Bye.